All right, this is gonna be a good video. So I want to address something, and I have felt like this has been something that people have thought. People have thought things like, why I bother saying talking about what's right and wrong, or what's or whatever, like why I bother with, oh, this is the truth, this is the fact, you know. Because I feel like it doesn't work in my favor at all. That, even when I say, hey, this is right, that's wrong, or this is what it's supposed to be, it's like that's not even, that doesn't even happen. It just gets ignored. And I'm gonna tell you something. You know what, man? Prior to that, this whole dead time thing, I don't think that ever happened in my life. Yeah, I mean, and allow me to explain to you. I remember being as young as I could to remember. I just remember like that was how things worked for me. You know what I mean? If I ever said, hey, look, this is right and that's wrong, it usually got passed off. You know what I mean? And I'm not even joking about that. I mean that in any environments. And the funny thing is, you know, sometimes you will have some idiots around you, and the idiots will say things. I had idiots around me. They would say things like, "Oh," they would claim that I'm not socialized, that I don't, I only know myself, and I'm not actually in the world. I don't have a presence. I'm not playing anything. I'm just basically in my own world or whatever, and that I've been raised by these school type of values, and that I actually believe in them. And I've been told this 100 times that I actually believe in my values, whereas, you're not supposed to believe in your values. You're not supposed to believe in that kind of stuff at all. You're supposed to basically be a bit of a scammer. You know what I mean? Like, pretend to believe in stuff and things like that, and I had a lot of people tell me shit like that around me. I never listened to it, and I'm so glad that I never listened to it, because as of today, after a long time, I found my way to having a presence, being able to grow, and being able to change. But I will tell you that, yeah, yes, in fact, I remember from my earliest days, man, like even going to school and things like that, whenever I would raise a point, I mean, it really got listened to. If I said something with the teacher, it would actually get listened to and done. Now, there were some down points to this, because actually specifically remember, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, me complaining to the school, to the teacher, complaining to everybody that we needed basketball nets and that we didn't have any basketball nets. We had soccer nets, but we didn't have basketball nets. And I kid you not, on my first day of school, when I left the school, went to sixth grade, I heard they had nets put up at my old school. I went back there. Guess what? First day of school, they got nets up. Kid you not, ninth grade, when I go to high school, first year of school, I hear my old school has, my middle school has nets. Guess what? They actually went and got nets. I spent 3 years complaining about it. They didn't do fuck all. And when I left and came back, it was like they did everything that I suggested. It was absolutely insane. I mean, I just found it absolutely ridiculous. You know what I mean? And I did have those issues, but the thing is that, like I remember just like I could talk to anybody of any authority level. It was crazy. Like I could talk to, I could, even as a kid, I could have a conversation with much older people of any authority level, and I would actually get listened to. And I knew that they weren't actually like they weren't formally giving me any attention. What they would do is they would kind of close their eyes, pretend not to listen, hear it all, and like kind of almost sneakily turn it into their own idea. You know what I mean? And but I'm telling you, like it worked for me. Like when I was younger, I was having no issues, man. Like, yeah, I mean, even when I talk about this, like, oh, when I was in Buffalo and all that, and really when I had those Buffalo vibes and everything, like, I mean, like, dude, I'll be honest with you. I wanted the job that I got. I wanted to work at a four-star American hotel which went down the drain by the time I left. But I wanted to work for them. And I got a job exactly with them, doing exactly what I wanted to do, and doing well with it. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't interested in college and university. I told you that about that in the morning. And but really all the time in my life, was always like there was no surprises in anything. Like, yeah, I got fired from my Hudson Bay job, but I'll be honest, and I'm gonna tell you again. I sent them an email with a resignation letter. Then the guy talked to me, the general manager, and he said, I know you sent me that email, but that doesn't count officially. So I need you to fill out a resignation letter from HR. Go to HR, get a resignation letter, fill it out. I'm like, dude, I'll do it. Don't worry. I had like 3 shifts left. And on my last shift, I went on a 2.5 hour break. Just fucking wandering around the mall, came back, and they're like, okay, you're gonna be fired. We're gonna have security escort you out of here. And that was it. You know what I mean? But the truth is that, like, yo, that's why I did not say that. Okay, so that was 2013, and then 2014. I'm telling you, beginning of 2014, I had set my mind up that I'm gonna go to Cuba. I'm gonna get enough money. I'm gonna work or do whatever, but I'm gonna get enough money, and I'm gonna go to Cuba, and that trip has to happen. And literally, the end of March, I went on that trip to Cuba. Came back right away. I got a job full time with the valet again at a hotel again downtown Toronto. Which again worked out perfectly. I mean, you wouldn't believe the amount of attempts that happened to get me fired. Yeah, I mean, I had guys working there who had no problem with me until their girlfriend would come and talk to them, and then their girlfriends or their friends who were girls would literally tell them, like, you got to get this guy fired. And they were never able to fire me, believe it or not. And I wasn't under probation and all that stuff. They were never able to fire me. They came up with all kinds of schemes all the time to fire me, and they were never able to fire me. I did leave that job. What happened was I had 1 shift left before going to Colombia, which I was gonna go away for over a month and a half. And what happened was that I for the first time ever, I just crashed. I was driving a manual 350Z, and it was like 3:30 in the morning. I was really sleepy. I had been sleeping. I woke up because they were like, dude, you gotta go park this some car. So I go and I park the car, and I come back. I'm like, okay, well, I'm awake. I'm like, dude, at least before going to Colombia, you know what? I want to drive stick one last time. So I'll take the 350Z out. So I was driving around. I don't know what happened. It was weird because I just came into this alley. No, into this small street where they were like, they call them street cars. They're almost like railroads in the center. And it was dark, and it was almost like, I think that street at the time did not have paint for the lanes. So I didn't know how to get into the lanes. And what happened is I ended up going into furthest left lane where the sidewalk was, and I was pressing the clutch, I believe. No. So I had the clutch in, and I pressed, like, there was a taxi in front of me, and I don't know what happened. It was like I just went into some weird mode, and instead of pressing the brake, I pressed the gas, and I just, bam, hit the taxi. The guy was cool, at first he was like, dude, if you give me cash, I won't report it or anything, because I didn't want to get caught with that and all that shit. So I was like, okay, dude, 500? He goes, yeah, 500 cash is fine. And then I managed to bring him down more, and then he said, dude, don't go any lower than this amount. I said, okay, no problem. We went in, I got the money, I gave him the cash. He said it's cool, and he left. I showed it to the manager in the morning, dude. I know it's kind of bad. He was really tripping out. Fuck, man, you fucking fuck, man. He was really tripping out, and then he talked to the owner of the 350Z, and he said, dude, it's cool. I got no issue with it. As far as I know. I don't know what the real story was. He said that was a story. Or someone from work told me that was a story. But either way, that was my last shift. And I was going to Colombia. I was flying to Colombia in 2 or 3 days. So I wanted the 2 or 3 days to prepare for my trip anyways. And I didn't even tell them I was going to Colombia because I was just planning to just last minute dip out. But I told you, man, like my word had so much power. And I'm talking like when I'm like 3 years old, 4 years old. When I said something, it was taken like so well. It was just crazy. Like every kid and teacher was just like, dude, did you just hear what he said, man? Did you just hear it? Like, this is insane. You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. Dude, I had so many girls have crushes on me since I was young, and they were all afraid to tell me. I never had a single girl ever tell me that she had a crush on me, ever. I never had. I had girls when I grew up and I hit puberty, or I got my growth spurt. Girls would tell me that I was attractive or sexy or cute all the time. But I never heard a girl ever say, you know what, I got feelings for you, or I like you. To this day, I've never heard a girl say that to me, that I got feelings for you, or I like you, or anything like that. I've just had I've been told that I'm attractive, or that I'm good looking, or that I'm funny, or whatever the case is. But I've never gotten into a relationship with a girl ever in my life. And I've hung out with girls many times. I've hung out with girls that say, just me and them, like, let's go on a date, let's go hang out. Do you want to bring one of your girlfriends with you? Whatever the case is. And I've hung out with them. Yeah, I mean, but I've never it's never turned into, I've never even said I love you to a girl. I've never said I like you, and neither has a girl ever said to me that I like you. Like, actually, when you talk to somebody, never say to me, I like you, or I love you, or anything like that. I've never had that. But, that's what I'm trying to tell you, is that before this dead time situation, and this happened before robbing the bank, I had like no direction to go in, man. Like, they had basically just turned my life into, and it wasn't that, like, it was pretty bad, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like, I couldn't feel it because I was still able to go out and doing all my shit, but I could feel people's hands being put into my life to say, you should do this, you should do that. And they were not the type of people that, that I really had anything to do with. So I didn't really wanna move that way. I didn't like the direction things were going in, the direction that people were throwing me into. I didn't really like it. You know what I mean? So that didn't really, that situation just really drove me to the point where I did that. And I'm telling you, I don't know, 7.5 years of dead time probably is really what I faced. And I could feel myself come out of it and be in Lifetime again. But the thing is that, like, after 7.5 years, I am like so different. You know what I mean? That I don't even know what to expect, or how to think, or how my life is gonna be like, because 7.5 years is a really long time, especially for a 24-year-old. Somebody who's 24 years old, and 7.5 years of dead time is a big thing. 24 years old means that I spent 6 years as an adult formally, and I spent longer than that in dead time. So that's a lot, man. That's a lot of time. And yeah, in dead time, it was the opposite. I could say a million things that were fire, that were correct, that were law, that were right, and nobody listened to me. Nobody gave a shit. Everybody was like, screw him over anyways. You know what I mean? When it was in dead time, because they weren't worried about anything, and I wasn't connected in any way to anything. But before I always found a way to be. I told you, man, I joined a gang, man, when I was like, either I was 17 or turning 17, and I was already joining a gang, and it was in that time when I was 27. I told you that last night. I was 27, and I went back to like getting connected with them again. You know what I mean? And on the real, like, I'm not even joking about that. Like, seriously connecting with them again. And that's real, man. I'm not bullshitting that shit. But as of now, I mean, being out at that time, I just feel relief. I always think to myself, it could have been worse. You know what I mean? At least I'm out of it. You know what I mean? I know I not only am I out of it, but I've pretty much done everything that I wanted to do. I mean, let's say the first thing was beefing. The second thing was robbing a bank. The third thing was other crazy shit, going to jail, whatever the case is. But I feel like I did enough. We could talk about a million things, codings and all this stuff, but I feel like I've already done enough. You know what I mean? Where I'm not thinking to myself consciously, I need to do more, because I'm like, what else am I gonna do, man? I've already done enough. You know what I mean? And I'm glad to be out at that time. I know that at the worst, if I had to see a bad month or 2 months or 3 months, yeah, it will be tough and it will be bad. But I don't think it would be any more than that, man, because I've been out at that time for probably like a little less than a month, So I'm like, dude, I don't care, man. You could throw the worst. I've had the worst shit in 7.5 years. You could throw the worst shit at me, I don't give a shit, man. It would only last a month or two or something. Listen, so I hit my time limit. I'm gonna post this up and then I'll come back with another one probably.